Students, our next point is a pressure belt on the earth surface. Last period we were learns about the different pressure belt on the earth surface. In this part today we are going to learn about the pressure belt on the earth surface. In this, first pressure belt is a equatorial low pressure belt, second is the mid latitude high pressure belt, and third is a subpolar low pressure belt, and fourth is a polar high pressure belt. The heat received from the sun is uneven in different regions, as the distribution heat is received from the sun is uneven in different regions. Hence the distribution of the temperature is uneven from the equatorial to poles. As a result, the temperature zones are created. We have studied this in the previous class. That means the heat received from the sun uneven in different regions. That means different places heat is different, not same. Hence the distribution of temperature is uneven from the equatorial to poles. That means in the equatorial region and the pole region, or that means the south and north poles, there are no same temperature. As a result, the temperature zone are created. That means at that time the temperature zone is created. We have studied this is the previous classes. That means you were studied of this in the previous class. That means in your 6th class. First pressure belt is a equatorial low pressure belt. The sun rays can be perpendicular between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of the Capricorn. So the temperature higher in this region. That means at that time the sun rays can be perpendicular between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So temperature is higher in this region. That means at the two regions the temperature is higher. Hence the air in this region get heated. At that time the air is start heated and expand, become lighter and move toward the sky. That means at that time this region get heated because there are sun rays can be perpendicular between these two regions, and at that time the temperature is higher at this region, and this region get heated and expand, become, at that time the region are get heated, expand, become lighter and move toward the sky, and they goes toward the sky. At this process operate continuously low pressure belt get formed in the central part of this region between the parallels of 5 degrees north and 5 degrees south. That means this process is operate continuously in low pressure belt. At that time this region low pressure belt is created between the parallel of 5 degree north and 5 degree south. That means in the diagram of here is the equatorial low pressure belt. That means in south side, in north side. That means there are two sides, there are 5 degrees belt are created, these two sides. You understand? The equatorial low pressure belt. At that time the sun rays can be perpendicular on between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of the Capricorn. At that time the temperature is high and they get heated, expand and become lighter and move toward the sky, and this process is operate continuously, and at that time the low pressure belt is created or formed and central part of this region between the parallel between the 5 degree south and 5 degree north. Then next mid latitude high pressure belt. The heated air become lighter, start ascending and from the reaches higher altitude. That means the heated air become lighter. That means at that time this region is heated, and at that time the air is lighter and lighter, start ascending and after reaching higher altitude, and that means they started ascending order, and they after reaching higher altitude, that means they reached, ते कुठं पोहोचते, higher altitude ला पोहोचते, move toward the polar region, and they goes toward the polar region, that is toward north and south pole, that means they toward the on the south pole and north pole, that means the heated air become a lighter and lighter, that means their weight is very less, and they started ascending, and after reaching higher altitude, that means they reached on the higher altitude place, that means they move toward the polar region, that means which polar region, they toward the south and north pole, that means here they goes toward the south pole and north poles. Due to low pressure at the higher altitude, that means there are low temperature in higher altitude, that means there are the low temperature, you know the rule of the, at that time that place the temperature is high, at these places pressure is, that places is higher altitude and their temperature is high, this place the lower altitude, the air cool down and become heavier, at that time these places here air is also cool, that means there are temperature is less, air is cool down and become heavier, and this is become heavier, this heavier air descending down in both hemisphere in the region between, and this air is wet, and this air or this heavier air descending down the hemisphere in the region between the 50 degrees to 35 degrees parallel, that means this weighted or heavier air goes to the 25 degrees to 35 degrees 25 degrees to 35 parallels, they leads the formation of high pressure belt in this parallel of latitude in the both hemisphere, that means at that time these places or these are lead to formation of high pressure belt is created parallels of latitude in the both hemisphere, that means the region between the 25 degrees to 35 degrees, at that time this region high pressure belt is occurs, this air is dry, hence the region does not get rainfall, that means there were the dry air, and because of this the region does not get rainfalls, that means because of this reason there are does not get rainfalls. Consequently, most of the hot desert on the earth are found in this region, that means on this region the hot desert on this earth are found in this region, that means desert area is also deserted area found in the mid latitude, that means high pressure belt areas. You understand? Second point is the high pressure areas. The next is subpolar low pressure belt. Due to the earth curvatures, the area between the two parallel get reduced as we move toward the poles, that means you are going to move toward these poles, two parallel get reduced, this result in the lesser friction of the air with the earth surface, air in this region through out become of the reduced friction, air in this region through the because of the reduced friction at that places they are air in this region in throughout because of the reduced friction, and also because of this earth rotational motion, that means the due to the earth curvatures the earth between the two parallels get reduced, that means the area between these two parallels is less, we move toward the poles, that means we goes toward the two poles, at that time the area is reduced, this result in the lesser friction of the air with the earth surface, that means the friction of the earth surface, air in this region is throughout because of the reduced friction, that means that area air friction is reduced, and because of this reason the air region is throughout. Also, because of the earth rotational motion, and because of the earth rotational motion, this leads to the develop of low pressure belt, and that area low pressure belt is created. This condition is observed in the area between 55 degrees to 65 parallel in the both of hemisphere. That means the 25 degrees to 65 degrees parallel in these both hemisphere there are the low pressure belt is created. And last point, polar high pressure belt. In the both polar region the temperature is below 0 degrees. That means in which areas the temperature is 0 degrees Celsius throughout the year. That means on this year there where the temperature is 0 degree Celsius, hence there here the air is cold. That means there are temperature is 0 degree Celsius and all the year, and at that time their air is very cold. As a result high pressure belt is get formed. That means in this region the high pressure belt is get formed because there are temperature is low, and their temperature is low, and this the pressure is also high in these places. These are called the polar high belt. That means this region is called as the high pressure belt. They generally occupy the area between the 80 degrees and 90 degrees parallel. That means on this they occupied the 80 degrees and the 90 degrees parallel in both hemisphere. They occupied the 80 degrees and 90 degrees parallel on the both hemisphere. Next, the duration and the intensity of sun rays varies during the particular period of the year in the both of hemisphere. The duration and intensity of the sun rays varies during the particular period of the year of both hemisphere. As a result, the location of the temperature zone and the pressure belt are dependent on the sun's heat also vary. That means as a result the location of temperature zone, the pressure belt is dependent on the sun heat. That means all this pressure is dependent on the sun vary. This changing of the order of the 5 degrees to 7 degrees toward the north Uttarayan and 5 degrees to 7 degrees to Dakshinayan, this is called as the oscillation of pressure belt. That means this is also called as the oscillation of the pressure belt. Then effect, the pressure belt has the following effect: the origin of wind, that means they created origin of winds, the generation of storm, they created a storm, and convectional type of rain, they created the convectional type of rains. The major difference between the temperature zone and pressure belt is that the temperature zone are continuous and the spread from equator to the poles from the torrid and frigids. Pressure belt are the continuous, and area of the high and low pressure are found in the different region from the equator to the poles. That means this pressure are found in the different region from the equator to pole. That last point is, that means effect of this belt is, first is origin, the winds, the generation of storm, and convectional type of rain. That means they created a convectional type of the rains. Next is the isobar. The line that join the place equal pressure on the map is called as the isobar. That means the line which are the join the equal pressure of the map, this is called as the isobar. That means the air pressure is the measured in the unit of the millibar. That means they are presented or measured in the millibars. For this on instrument is called as a barometer is used. This air pressure at the earth's surface is measured with this instrument. That means our air pressure is measured with this barometer. Thank you.